Now here's a thought, a bright idea, if you will. As everyone nowadays is trying to save some money or make some more, here is a great way to do the former in your case. When it comes to your vehicle, your kid's vehicle, whatever it is, start doing more of the work yourself, sourcing the parts yourself. You spend hours sitting there on your phone, on your laptop, really not doing much every evening. Use some of that time to source the parts, good ones, and do a little research on how to replace them yourself. Here's one that might seem a little intimidating, but it's actually totally possible with the right preparation, tools, and instruction. That's replacing the wheel hub bearing on a vehicle. If you start to hear the sounds, feel the grind that lets you know it needs to be done, get these tool together. The new wheel hub bearing or bearings. Socket set wrenches, pliers, a hammer, jack and jack stands, very important, screwdrivers, and bearing grease. You want to prep the vehicle by parking it on a level surface, engaging the parking brake, and use a jack to lift it up before securing it with jack stands, and then remove the wheel and tire assembly. Now you're on to the nitty-gritty, removing the brake caliper and a rotor. Remove them by removing the bolts that hold them in place. You can hang the caliper on the suspension using a wire or bungee cord, being careful not to damage the brake line. Then remove the rotor by pulling it off of the hub. Now it's time to deal with the wheel hub assembly. Remove the bolts or nuts that hold the wheel hub assembly to the knuckle using a socket set and wrenches. And remove the hub assembly from the steering knuckle by tapping it gently with a hammer. Be careful. Next, you want to remove the old wheel hub bearings. You can use a screwdriver or pliers to remove the snap ring that holds the bearing in place, and use a bearing puller to remove the old wheel hub bearing from the hub assembly. Can you guess what's next? Installing the new bearings. Clean the hub assembly, apply a liberal amount of bearing grease to it, then press the new wheel hub bearings into place using a bearing press, and install the snap ring to hold the bearing in place. Now, it's just reversing the order, reinstalling the wheel hub assembly first onto the steering knuckle, tighten the bolts or nuts that hold that into place on the steering knuckle, then reinstall the rotor and brake caliper, making sure to tighten the bolts and nuts securely. With that done, you can test the wheel hub bearings. Spin the wheel and listen for any strange noises. Test drive the vehicle slowly at first to ensure that the new wheel hub bearings are working correctly. Everything feels smooth. And because the wheel hub bearings aren't super expensive, this whole repair won't add up to much because you took care of the labor costs. And you know how good that's going to make you feel? Well, take a look at that bill again. There isn't one.